All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So we got some breaking Jets news here coming out early this morning from Ian Rapoport of the NFL Network. By the way, sorry about the sun. I don't know if you guys can pick that up or, if the camera's picking it up. But in any case, the Jets are set to interview former Jets and Bills head coach Rex Ryan on Tuesday, right after the season. When it comes to any general manager or head coaching candidate, there's always going to be positives and negatives like we all know. Let's talk about some of the positives surrounding Rex Ryan in this hypothetical situation where Rex were to get the Jets job. I think the first thing that we need to talk about, and this might sound a little dumb, this might sound a little simple, but I think it's true. I think it's like we know it's a fact. Rex Ryan loves the Jets. Rex Ryan loves the New York Jets. That's one thing that we all have in common, right? He bleeds green. You listen to him talk about the Jets when it comes to, ESPN after a loss, whatever it may be. Maybe he's talking about the coaches, maybe he's talking about the execution, whatever it may be. The passion in his voice is like second to none. It is second. Like, he is one of the most genuine coaches that I've ever seen in my entire life. And you can tell he wants to see the Jets turn around. He does. I mean, on one hand, I find it sick that Rex Ryan is continuously raving about the Jets, raving about his love for the Jets, raving about Woody Johnson, raving about the fans, just how much of an awesome like when the entire world is coming down on the Jets. They suck, they're dysfunctional, Woody Johnson's the worst owner in football. Some people are saying that he's the worst owner in sports. I wouldn't go that far. But it's cool to see a guy, a prominent figure in the national sports media space, stick up and defend the New York Jets. And it's not out of some weird petty thing. It's not for clickbait. It's how he actually feels. That is awesome. On the other hand, I find it very concerning that Rex Ryan, talking about the Jets after a loss, right, when he's just tearing into them, he has more. Why do I feel like he has more passion in that 15-minute YouTube clip compared to Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, and Jeff Ulbrich combined in their entire tenure with the Jets? Why is that the case? Right? I mean, you're listening to Saleh and Ulbrich after games. It's just embarrassing, right? Oh, played a good defense. We'll get them next week. We had a good week of practice. We got to go back and watch the tape. I'm over that. I want someone, and look, I'm not saying people have to yell and scream and freak out. People express themselves differently. But how many losses? Joe Douglas was here for 6 years, and we can't talk about the playoffs. How about being 500? Nope, not even that. Loss after loss, week after week, year after year. And it just felt like that regime's priorities were elsewhere. It was about optics. It was about how do we look, the perception of us. How are we performing with the backup quarterback? How what are the defensive ranks, right? How do we stack up, in the NFL? When it comes to Rex Ryan, you feel as though there's a big emphasis on winning football games. Losing, unacceptable. It's funny, a lot of these older head coaches, coaches that have been around the game for a long time, or coaches' sons, losing is just not in the cards. It's just not something that organizations look at and are okay with. This past regime, they were okay. It seemed like they were okay with it. And again, with Rex Ryan, you just don't get that sense. You get the sense of, hey, if he gets the Jets job and they lose a game, like it's going to be taken seriously, and it's not just going to be swept under the rug, and hopefully, the media isn't talking about us that bad this week. Not like that at all. I think another big positive is that Rex has, not only just worked with Woody Johnson, but he's had success with Woody Johnson. Everyone wants to talk about how bad of an owner Woody Johnson is. Not Rex Ryan. Not Rex Ryan. There's a chance that ownership could scare Vrabel away. They could scare Brian Flores away, Ben Johnson away. Right? There's a chance of that happening. There's a chance of that happening with any team with questionable ownership. When it comes to Rex Ryan, you don't get that question. He's like, sign me up. I've worked with him before. We have a great relationship. I've won here. The last time we've won was when I was here. Let's make it happen again. So you kind of feel like that whole meddling effect wouldn't be as big of an issue when it comes to a Rex Ryan led team. Another benefit, I think this is a given, the defense would turn around. No more like soft arm tackles. I think we would actually see, average safety play. My lord, the safety play for the Jets defense is the worst I've seen in I don't even know how many years. It is horrendous. And, we continuously see beat reporters talk about, oh, well, the Jets don't value safeties. The Jets don't value safeties. Maybe they should. Maybe the defense would look a little bit better, right? I think we would see a defense that stops the run. Rex came over from Baltimore. What do the Ravens pride themselves on? Stopping the run. Opposing running backs will not get over 100 yards. That is a constant. It's constantly talked about within the Ravens organization, within the Ravens coaching staff, right? The Jets get run on every week. Again, it's just completely inept, right? So I do feel like that defensive structure will turn around. And also, Rex is a smart enough guy. He can, call a defense in multiple schemes. He's not a one-trick pony, similar to Robert Saleh. It's funny, you listen to all like the veteran defensive coaches, all the great defensive coaches throughout the years. They talk about the importance of being multiple, the importance of showing different looks. I think it was Bill Belichick who had a quote a couple of years ago in preparation for the Patriots Jets. One of the questions came in and said, the reporter asked, "What are you doing to prepare for this Jets defense? They're performing pretty well this year." And Belichick said, "The Jets are the Jets. They just do the same thing. They don't change. No matter who they play, where they play, when they play, it's just going to be the same defensive structure." So obviously you're kind of at a disadvantage, because if that's the case, you're always playing against different coaches. You're always playing against different offenses, different quarterbacks. Some some coaches might take advantage of you. Some might know how to prepare or how to attack that defense better than others. And again, Rex Ryan to me is a multiple guy, because he's been around the game for so long, because Buddy Ryan was his dad, he has so much knowledge of defensive football. He's not locked into the 3-4, style that we saw when he was, when he was here. Maybe he would want to implement that, and I'm totally cool with it. But maybe he could look at the roster and say, I think we can, make it work in a different style of system. I think he's a smart enough individual, a smart enough coach to look at the defensive talent and say, hey, we got to put these guys in a position to have success. And I think another major benefit with Rex Ryan here, because he's been removed from the game for so long, he's built connections. He's had time to reflect. He can look back at his time with both the Jets and the Bills and say, you know what, this worked. That didn't. What can I do differently if I were to get another opportunity? What would I change? What would I keep the same? Why did players respect me? Why do players, continue to have my back? Just that reflection period. This is not Adam Gase going from Miami to the Jets. No time to reflect. No time to look at the mistakes. Yeah, you probably have an idea of it in the back of your head, but have you really had time to formulate actual, remedies for those issues? Or are you focused on learning the Jets roster and trying to move forward that way, right? And just sweep it under the rug. All right, we got to, keep it moving here because the pressure's on. I got to win games with the Jets. With Rex, not the case, right? He's had time to really, dive into that type of stuff. I was watching a Rex Ryan interview with Ryan Clark on, I think it's called the Pivot Podcast. It's a really good watch, or listen if you have the time. I'll try to find it and leave it linked down below in the description box. And he talked a lot about that stuff, right? Just him potentially getting another opportunity and things of that nature. It seems like Rex Ryan has, at this stage, pretty high self-awareness. He knows who he is. He knows what his team would look like. And that's attractive, for a team that has not been a 500 squad. And I don't even know how many years, right? 2015 or something, whenever it was. But of course there's negatives, right? When it comes to Rex Ryan, we have to ask the question, has the game passed him by? Not a Rex Ryan specific thing. This is more so a coach coming out of retirement thing. Could more of the younger, innovative minds across the sidelines, put Rex's head on, could Rex's head be spinning on Sundays? Could he be taken advantage of in that regard? Maybe. But I think, again, that it kind of falls back to the importance of building a staff the right way, delegating responsibilities. I think Rex would actually be maybe more effective as a CEO style of head coach than, this purely defensive guy. So again, I think building a staff is important, but we do have to ask that question. It's completely fair to ask, hey, has the game passed this retired coach by? Or this coach that has been out of football for so long? Another negative, right? Is he the right guy to spearhead a rebuild? Right? If he's not, I don't want to be having a discussion a year and a half from now. All right, well, the Jets, there's a hot seat, and the Jets could look to move on. The rebuild isn't going well, and we're in this same exact cycle again with more draft classes loaded in, with more talent leaving, and it's just this revolving door, right? Or is Rex the type of guy to where you hire him on a lower term style of deal, and you're like, hey, this team has talent. Let's get back to essentially, is it a short-term thing or a long-term thing? I think a lot of people would have a lot of questions if it was a long-term thing. Personally, I'm looking for a long-term thing. Not saying I'm right. That's just my opinion. That's just what I want from the organization. I want to build the right way. Eagles, Lions, Packers, Bills, Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs. That's how I want to build. I don't want, a shot, a flash in the pan, lightning in the bottle. Hey, we all got to make it work and build up to this 1 year. And if it doesn't work, there's massive disappointment. I'm over that. This whole Aaron Rodgers thing, I want to mimic how the well-ran organizations run their organizations. And I think last but not least, I hate to ask this question, but again, it's fair and we need to ask it. If Rex Ryan were to get the Jets job, would it be too much of a circus with headlines, with maybe, quotes to the media, quotes after training camp practices, quotes after games? There was a lot of that stuff when Rex was here initially, but, at this point, I guess the counter argument is he's older, he's had time to reflect, and that was his, real first crack at becoming a head coach in the NFL. Now he might look back on it and say, hey, some of this stuff was just irrelevant, just no point in it. Some of the stuff was funny, but I do think there is a line of where it just gets, hey, this is turning into a circus here. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.